Nikhil, I want to come back to talk about something that Amitabh just touched upon, making giving cool. It's interesting because this goes back to a conversation that we were having with Nitin and how he was talking about the inspiration for the decision to look at business, to look at life differently, was based on what he saw with Patagonia. And recently, we've seen the Patagonia founder take a fairly bold step in terms of what they intend to do with the business and how they intend to give back to society. So, how do you take this message that it's not just about valuation, but it's about value creation, and it's also about impact and giving back?
So, Shireen, it's strange, but somehow I feel Bangalore is kind of figuring this thing out. My friend circle in Bangalore, for example, be it Prashant or Amitabh or the bunch of people who hang out together, society has come to a point today that if you're driving a fancy gas guzzling car, people no longer look at you in that group and they think that, it's such a nice car. People are like, what is wrong with this guy and why is he doing that? Organically, I think the younger generation, I'm not even considering myself, I'm 36 today, but if you talk about people who are 20 and 80, between the age group of 16 to 25, these guys are a lot more woke than even my generation. So things are changing organically, and I think that trend is exaggerated in Bangalore in many ways. Capitalism, in the way that it has worked in the last many decades, I still feel like is the best model out there compared to socialism, communism, or whatever else might have been there in the past. But for capitalism to truly work going forward, it would probably have to kind of like modify into some kind of benevolent capitalism where there is a lot more distribution happening at the top. And I think people have to understand that, and people have to become cognizant to that. Even if we are able to get people to the point where Bangalore is today in other cities in India, as a first step, I think is a big challenge, but B, I think the impact will be tremendous. We have to change the narrative of hoarding wealth or one person having a lot of wealth is cool, to kind of being a part of the community and contributing and trying to make a change, to making that cool. And I think not just in India, internationally even, like we have Arnav from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I think he's testament to that. Like you might find an American today who has more money than Bill, but people value, respect, and look up to Bill a lot more. And even Amitabh for that matter. Amitabh is from a affluent family, went to Yale, could have joined his family business, but he has left all of that and he works 16, 18 hours a day on 100 different projects like this. And, he's relentless. Like each time I meet Amitabh, he's like in Bangalore at 11 p.m., going to Ahmedabad at 1 a.m. And I keep asking him, what is the driving factor for you? But his need to make a change and to, create impact in any way possible is extremely inspiring. And I think the more stories like this get told, the more the youngsters will, pick this up. And it's not about the quantum of money one gives. I think one could easily argue that people like us who have gotten lucky and have been blessed, it's easier for us to give a larger chunk of money than for somebody who is just starting off or who has not gotten as lucky to give one fraction of that money. So I think it's not about the quantum of money somebody is giving or the quantum of effort and time people are giving. The idea is to get more people to participate. And if enough people participate, I think this will become a movement of its own and create significant impact.
Prashant, what I want to address with you is here we're talking about individuals like Nikhil, yourself, Amitabh, and Arnav, playing the path that you are to try and give back in whatever way possible. But what about behavioral change, corporate behavioral change as an investor within your portfolio companies? We've seen toxic corporate culture, not just in large corporates, but also within the startup ecosystem, largely driven by the fact that there's been so much money that's come in so quickly to many of those companies. How do you get, at an organizational level, to inculcate better behavior, to respect and value values and money? I mean, this is venture capital funding. Of course, Nikhil doesn't have any. But how do you change the attitude and the behavior to money that the startup ecosystem is dealing with?
Very good question, Shireen, and of course it's a big 2 years of lots of money coming into our ecosystem, and it did create some bad behavior, like you mentioned. But I think one approach we have taken, and I think this was Nikhil's idea, is that can we have a more informal approach to how we engage and talk to these people? So it's almost been like an informal club kind of approach, where we have had smaller groups of people meet almost every month, and Nikhil facilitates some of this, Amitabh facilitates some of this. We've actually done this now in 4 or 5 cities, and we kind of show them this other approach, or other folks actually taking this path. Right, so the more and more they see that entrepreneurs are doing this, and it is giving them a lot of following this as their passion and adding it to whatever they're doing with work. But here I will also tell you that we do find a challenge that a lot of them are really their biggest kind of negative thing on this is we don't have the mind space today to think about it, right? We are so busy at work, we are so busy with our startup. Maybe we look at it 5-10 years from now, right? That's the standard. So I think that we have gotten better and better in saying, you know what, start small, start this journey, experiment like everything else you do in your startup world. Just try this out. And and like I said, just getting these informal groups have become bigger and bigger.
Gentlemen, congratulations, and thanks for making a beginning and a start. And we hope that you will be able to build on this further. Appreciate you joining us here today to talk about this on Young Turks. Nikhil, Prashant, Amitabh, and Arnav, appreciate your time. We will take a break here on this special edition of Young Turks. There's a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a moment with more.